A few days after the concert that had already caused a stir, Songyun's name was once again in the spotlight. But this time, it wasn't just her performance on stage. Something bigger, more mysterious, was slowly being revealed through video clips circulating on social media. Initially, many thought it was all over. The emotional moments of the previous concert still lingered in the hearts of fans. The tears, smiles, and powerful energy seemed to provide the perfect ending. But who would have thought the story wasn't truly over? Amidst the euphoric silence, news suddenly emerged that left everyone speechless. Video after video began to emerge. There was no official announcement, no clarification, just brief footage that raised more questions than answers. In one of the most talked about videos, two familiar figures appeared, Kai and Songyun. They weren't on stage, not performing. Instead, they looked like ordinary audience members, enjoying a concert together. The moment seemed so simple, but that was precisely where the surprise lay. There was no special spotlight, no announcement of their presence, as if they genuinely wanted to be there without unnecessary attention. But precisely because of that, the public's attention was unstoppable. Their expressions in the video became a topic of conversation. There were small smiles, there were unreadable glances, and a sense of togetherness that felt so natural. Fans began to speculate, trying to piece together the story from every captured second. But the mystery didn't stop there. Another video surfaced. This time, it showed Kai and Songyun leaving the concert venue. Their steps were relaxed, unhurried, yet they exuded an aura that made anyone who saw them instantly recognize them. There was no certainty about the time. There was no clear information about the concert's location. It all felt like a puzzle intentionally left open. And precisely because of that uncertainty, curiosity grew. Social media became a sea of theories. Some believed it was just a coincidence. Others believed it was a sign of something deeper. Some even linked it to an emotional moment that had occurred earlier at Songyun's concert. Kai's name was trending again. So was Songyun's. Every post, every comment, every speculation seemed to prolong the story's existence. No one truly knew what was happening, but everyone felt involved. Some fans tried to analyze tiny details. The clothes they were wearing, the gestures, even the direction of their gazes. Things that might have seemed trivial now became the subject of endless, lengthy discussions. On the other hand, others chose to enjoy the moment for what it was. Seeing two figures they admired in the same frame, in such a relaxed setting, was enough to warm their hearts. But one thing was certain, this appearance wasn't something planned for public consumption. There was no promotion. There was no official agenda. And perhaps that's precisely what made it feel so real. The entertainment industry, usually filled with carefully scripted and planned scenarios, was now faced with something spontaneous, something uncontrollable, and therefore felt much more honest. Was this just a coincidence? Or was there an untold story behind all this? These questions continued to swirl, with no definitive answers. What was clear was that Kai and Songyun had once again captured the spotlight. Not with on-screen drama, not with new projects, but with simple moments that leave an extraordinary impact. And perhaps, beneath all this speculation, there's one thing that's actually more important. That sometimes, someone's presence at an unexpected time and place can create a story far more powerful than anything planned. To date, there's no official confirmation of when and where the video was shot. It remains a growing mystery. And now, the question turns to you. If you think you've seen or know details about the concert, perhaps you have a piece of the puzzle that many people haven't yet discovered. Because in this world of scrutiny, sometimes the most interesting stories come from the unannounced. As time went on, the curiosity didn't subside, it only deepened. Every time the video was replayed, new details seemed to emerge. It was as if the more they paid attention, the more hidden meanings slowly emerged. Some fans even began comparing this moment to previous events. They tried to connect patterns, reading signs they might have previously overlooked. And from there, various interpretations emerged, further enriching the story, which had yet to be fully resolved. Interestingly, neither party responded. There was no clarification, no denial, not even the slightest hint. This silence only fueled the growing speculation. In the entertainment world, silence is often more powerful than words. And in this case, Soo Kai and Tan Songyun's silence only deepened the public's curiosity. What were they really thinking? What really happened that night? Some people began to see this from a different perspective. Maybe it wasn't about surprise or sensation. Maybe it was simply two individuals choosing to enjoy their time without pressure, without expectations, and without the need to explain anything to the world. But on the other hand, it's hard to ignore the fact that their every move is always in the spotlight. Even the simplest moments can turn into major conversations, as is happening now. This phenomenon once again proves how powerful their influence is in the entertainment industry. Without a stage, without dialogue, their mere presence is enough to create a story that resonates far and wide. And amidst all this, fans remain loyal, waiting for confirmation, waiting for clarification, or perhaps just waiting for the next moment that might provide a hint. Until finally, one thing becomes clear. Regardless of the truth behind the video, this moment has become a part of their story that will not be easily forgotten. A small slice of their lives that has inadvertently managed to touch so many people. And as the story unfolded, a feeling that was hard to describe emerged, a mix of curiosity, hope, and worry. Because the more attention they received, the greater the pressure they likely felt. Some fans began to realize that behind all this speculation were two real people who perhaps just wanted to enjoy a simple moment away from the spotlight. But in reality, their every move was almost impossible to ignore. On the other hand, others felt that it was precisely moments like these that brought them closer together. Not as perfect public figures, but as individuals who also wanted to enjoy life in a normal way. Over time, the circulating video footage began to be analyzed more deeply. Some slowed down the footage, zoomed in, even tried to read lips, all in an attempt to find that one small clue that might answer their growing curiosity. But the more they searched, the more they realized that not everything needed an answer. Some moments were meant to be experienced, not explained. And perhaps this was one of those moments. Amidst the flood of information, this story remains a living mystery. It hasn't faded, nor has it lost its allure. In fact, the longer it goes on, the more people join in the conversation. And perhaps, without realizing it, Soo Kai and Tan Songyun have created something more than just a viral moment. They've created a narrative that grows on its own, shaped by the perceptions, hopes, and imaginations of many. Ultimately, whether all of this will be answered or remain a mystery, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, that night left a lasting mark, a story that will continue to be talked about, even when everything has calmed down.